given notice.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move the motion in my name and the name of Councillor Knowles. I would like to start, first and foremost, by paying tribute to Babika Yahia, whose 4-year-old daughter Maya was killed by a driver just a few months ago as she walked home with her mother along the road she lived in Highgate, and we heard from him earlier today in an extremely moving question. Babika has shown incomparable strength being here today, and he came with a simple question: what are we going to do to prevent another family having to suffer his pain? What is going to change, and when is it going to happen? It's a question he asks of all of us, not just Councillor Mahmood. And when a child dies in a sudden, violent and traumatic death on our streets, it's a question we must all ask of ourselves. I came here not to ask of a political party or individual, but all of us sitting here. There is not one corner of Birmingham, not one neighbourhood, not a single family unaffected by the fear, danger and misery that our roads bring. Every parent here today sees themselves in this courageous man who has suffered the loss that haunts our darkest thoughts, a loss that fuels the persistent anxiety we all feel as we watch our children travel the streets they call home. A study published in the last few days shows that the traffic danger reduces children's walking accessibility to child-relevant destinations by at least 75% as a consequence of these fears. The more dangerous our roads are, the more people will get in cars to protect themselves and their loved ones as they move around, and the worse the problem will get. And the impact is felt not just on our mental well-being, but also on our physical health. The West Midlands has the highest rate of childhood obesity anywhere in the UK, a ticking time bomb of long-term health conditions such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease, which will damage the lives of those that suffer them and generate a huge societal cost for all of us to shoulder in terms of healthcare needs and unfulfilled economic potential. So this problem is profound. It goes beyond the squabble of party politics and affects all of us as residents of this proud and vital city. And it will require a spirit of collegiate cooperation amongst all of us if we are to have hope of delivering real change. It's in that spirit that we present our motion today. We thank Councillor Mahmood and those who have worked together to declare a state of emergency on our roads, because this at least acknowledges the scale of the task that faces us. The state of emergency needed to be called. However, it is disappointing that the subject would not have been debated today had it not been for our motion. Perhaps we should agree that declaring an emergency requires a debate in full council about what we will actually do as a result. We did this when we declared a climate emergency, but not for the housing emergency. We need to get better at how we deliver change, not just saying there is an emergency that needs change. Therefore, we present today our own offering on how best to respond to the road safety emergency, in the hope that colleagues across the chamber will support the concrete steps we must take now to turn these crucial words into coherent action. Unlike some other emergencies, there are relatively swift practical actions that can be taken to improve safety on Birmingham's roads. The ideas we present are constrained by the Council's current financial situation, but there is still much that can be done. It's a process that must involve transparency. We must shine a spotlight on the processes that, despite promises and intent, have so far failed to generate meaningful change on our roads. The honesty and courage not just to acknowledge, but to fully understand the missed opportunities that so far engage how we can best move forward to the safer streets which our city so desperately needs. Looking across the world, there are many towns and cities which have made significant progress towards Vision Zero, where no one is killed or seriously injured in a traffic collision. So we have ready blueprints for action to tackle these issues, to prevent senseless loss of life, to restore the freedoms of our public realm to those who need them most. The safe systems approach, which strips our transport network down to the simplicity of its physics, most importantly to reduce the speed of the vehicles on our roads, is key to reducing the number and severity of collisions on our streets and achieving these vital objectives. Our motion reflects this with a call for improved enforcement on speeding, greater resourcing to remove the most dangerous drivers from our roads, and a renewed focus on how we protect our children, our most precious citizens, as they travel to and from school. Much of what we have asked for has already been talked about by the current administration, but today we ask for a commitment to a clear and structured timetable for its delivery and a rethink on the structures through which it will be achieved. We need ongoing and accessible engagement with our communities to identify the issues on their roads that need to be addressed with the greatest urgency. We need oversight of the process that goes beyond party lines and includes all authorities, public bodies and interested groups to enable them to offer their insight and scrutiny. And we argue we need a cabinet member focused on addressing this issue without having the huge burden of further responsibilities diluting their attention. We bring this motion today in the hope that we can engage constructively and honestly with each other to find the best way forward for our streets from their current dangers. Present it in good faith, ready to offer our help in any way we can to achieve this objective. And we believe that the sincerity of our intent is shared by members right across the chamber, irrespective of political allegiance. Let's all work together to tackle this emergency. This we owe to those who have already suffered so greatly, because there is no better way for us to honour the memory of those who have tragically departed than to build a city where such senseless loss is not repeated. A city where our streets are spaces to be enjoyed rather than feared, where senseless loss of life is a thing of the past, and where the Maya Yahirs of tomorrow have the futures that they deserve. Thank you, Lord Mayor.